Okay, welcome to Calculus 1. We're finally set up. A few semesters ago I started recording my class. Some of the kids liked it. I post the videos on YouTube and I'll give you guys a link later. And so I decided to continue doing it. So just in case you miss a class or you think you need to go over something I said, you can always go on YouTube and watch the lecture again. Yes, this is Calculus 1, Math 201. As you can see here, my name is Javon Smith, so on your CUNY first, if you had checked it like a couple days ago, because it's been down for like 2 days, that should be the class that you're supposed to be. So, today's going to be sort of a relaxed day. We're just going to go through the syllabus, not really do anything serious. Just mention a few important things that I think you should know. Okay, starting with the name, Javon Smith. You can call me Javon, you don't have to call me like Mr. Smith or Professor Smith or anything like that. Javon's fine, I keep things on a first name basis. That's my email. I'm going to be asking you guys to email me later, so make note of that. Office hours by appointment, and I'm also in the Tutoring Center many times, and we're going to talk about that in a bit as well. This is my website. That's going to be a very important website, because I'm going to be posting various things on that website for you to get. So like reviews for tests, solutions to tests, answers to quizzes, things like that sort. I'll be posting here and maybe any announcements that come up. So that's the website you should check. The textbook for this class is Essential Calculus, the second edition, by James Stewart. Hopefully you all have the textbook. There are tons of places on campus you can get the textbook if you don't have it. They have copies at the Tutoring Center, they have copies in the library, they have copies in the math department, right? So if you don't have the book right now, don't freak out too much. I'll tend to try to explain a lot, so you probably won't need the textbook unless you're just doing homework. So I'll sort of tell you everything you need to know in that regard. Math department location, the math department website. That 190 there should be 201, because I'm also teaching 190 and I use the same template. So that's the Math 201 website there, and that's where you're going to find other important information like prep materials and past math findings that the math department writes. So we're going to talk about that also. This class is considered a day class this semester. So day classes are classes that begin before 6 p.m. and classes of that sort they have a departmental math final, right? So I'm not writing a math final. The math department writes the final, and they give a uniform final to every class that starts before 6 p.m. and we fall in that category, right? So if you want to know what you're supposed to be preparing for, the best place is to look look where the finals come from, and so you can see a bunch of past finals at that website, and I'm going to be sending you there to review for tests. As far as calculators are concerned, they're not permitted in this course. You're going to be doing everything by hand. You might have one or two homework problems that ask you to use a calculator, but it's not going to be something I'll ask you to reproduce on a quiz or a test. Everything I'll give you, you'll be able to do by hand. So you should start weaning yourself off calculators if you're a calculator person. Normal grading chart just tell you the different grades you can get, what GPA they carry. Just letting you know that you need a C to pass this course and move on if you want to use it as a prerequisite. But odds are if you're in this course, it means you're like a science or engineering major, or you want to be. And so you should be getting an A, because that's what you're going to be looking for. Something else the math department controls is what percentage of your grade the final covers, right? So it's 40% of your grade is the final. It's not my choice, that's just policy. I have to make it 40% of your grade. I can do whatever I want with the other 60, and here is how I break up the other 60. Right, so right here you can see how your grade depends on various things. I'll be giving lots of quizzes, at least once a week. At least once a week you'll have a quiz or a test. And that quizzes account for 15%. There are two kinds of homework because our math department has adopted using Webassign, which is sort of an online thing. You do homework online as well as written homework. So they're each worth 5% of your grade. Participation, which mostly attendance, is is 5% as well. So I'll be taking attendance every day once I get a decent roster. In-class test count for 30% of your grade. I'll give you 4 tests, but I'll drop 1. I'll count it as 3. That's 30%. And as for quizzes, I'll drop the worst 2. I'll also drop 2 of the homeworks, the written homeworks. Moving on. Notes for credit, no makeup exams or quizzes. Don't be absent, show up all the time. Right? Try not to miss anything. Again, there's a policy on attendance. Attendance is important. Try to be early. If you need to be absent, absolutely, you have to send me an excuse within 1 day of your absence by email or something. And of course, if you need to show proof of anything, you should show it. But yeah, seriously, no makeups. Right? Don't be missing. All right? We're going to cover a lot. Let's talk about expectations, work ethic. Basically, I expect you to work your butts off, work like crazy, and we're going to be doing a lot of work. You're going to be getting a lot of homework, a lot of quizzes. It's going to be intense. It's one of those classes that you really need moving on, especially if you're in science or engineering. You're going to do a lot of beating math into your heads. Homework, as far as written homework is concerned, every time I finish a section, the written homework for that is due the next class, right? So if I finish, the first section today, the homework for that will be due tomorrow. If I finish anything tomorrow, the homework for that is due the next class, which is Tuesday. And I'll be going over homework in class, so it's important that you get it done on time and you hand it in. When you hand in the homework, expect it to follow certain guidelines, like the ones I listed here. Okay? So I want you guys to be organized. First, I want you to show all your work, right? If you just copy down the answers, that doesn't mean anything to you, because you can just look in the back of the textbook and copy down the answers, right? I want to make sure that you're actually attempting them and you're trying to solve them in the correct way. You must staple your homework if it has several pages in it, right? Just to keep it together. And I want you to label your homework properly with your name, the homework number, and the topic. So let me clarify that, because people seem to be confused about that. Okay, so when you're handing in homework, that's the corner of the page. Expect you to write your name. The next thing you're going to write is the homework number. Right? So like homework number 1. Right? If you go to the topics, I actually gave you the homework for the entire semester already. Go to the third to last page. You'll see the topics, right? So let's say you're doing the homework for the first section, right? I expect you to label it as homework number 1, or topic number 1 is the same thing. And then you're going to write the section that you're doing, 1.1, which is functions and their representations. Right? So I expect this to be at the heading of your homework, right? So I need to know who you are, what homework number you're doing, what topics you're doing. Okay. And another guideline is I only want 1 homework per stapled group. So if something like I might cover 2 sections in a class or something like that, you have 2 separate homeworks for 2 separate sections, I want you to staple them separately. Right? Don't combine homeworks. Right? Keep the homework separate. And of course be neat, because I need to be able to read what you're writing. More. Yes?
I can't see the last one.
This?
Yes.
It says 1.1 functions and their representations. It's the name of the topic, the section. More expectations. I expect you to remember all the math you've ever done in your life, basically. Right? So anything that came before this, algebra, pre-calculus, pre-algebra, whatever you've done, I expect you to remember here. It's going to be very, very, very important. There's a saying that, sometimes a saying that people say jokingly, that I failed algebra in calculus. I've been teaching calculus a long time, I've been tutoring calculus a long time, and I can tell you now, most of the mistakes students make in calculus are not calculus mistakes. The calculus tends to be the easy part. Where they mess up is the algebra. So they do all the calculus and they do it right, but then they try to simplify their answer so they can plug it in somewhere else. And that's where it goes wrong, right? So don't underestimate all the math you've done before, right? So you need to be on top with your algebra, you need to be sharp with your pre-calculus, all that is going to come back. We're not going to do terribly a lot of trig in this class, but in Calc 2 you're going to be doing a lot of trig, so you need to still keep abreast in the trig. We will do some, not as much as in Calc 2. So yes, remember all the math you've done before, make sure your algebra is good, your pre-calc is good. If it's not good, get good quickly by the end of this week. Make sure you're a master of algebra and pre-calc. Certain mistakes I will not tolerate. There is zero tolerance for some mistakes. I've listed them here. So I jokingly say you should repeat it as a mantra, but try not to do that, but make sure you don't do this. Things like canceling across sums. Do not cancel across sums. So if you see something like, x plus 1 or x plus 3, and you're like, oh, x over x. No, I've seen it, don't laugh. People have done this. There's a plus sign here. If there's a plus or minus sign separating terms, you cannot cancel, right? You can only cancel when there's multiplication between the terms. So if you have like plus 1, plus 4, plus 3, plus 1. Multiplications here, these you can cancel. Those you can't. There's a plus or minus separating things, you cannot cancel. This is called canceling across sums, right? Here, see like 2x plus 1 over 2. Oh, the 2 is canceled. This is x plus 1. No, it's not x plus 1. Right? Do not cancel across sums. If you do that, you are in a lot of trouble. Don't distribute powers across sums is another one, right? So if you see something like x plus 2 all squared, and you write x squared plus 4, big trouble, right? You can't just say, oh, square this and square that. That is not true, okay? You cannot do that, right? Or if you have something like a radical, and you like, x squared plus 4, and you're like, oh, that's x plus 2. No, it's not x plus 2. You cannot do that. Because a radical is a power, right? If I want to write a radical as a power, how do I write it? Right? A radical is really a power, right? So when you distribute a radical across a sum, you're distributing a power across a sum. It's illegal. Do not do it, right? Do not divide by 0. It's happened. I've seen people tell me that 2 over 0 is like 0, or things like that. No. Or some people might think it's infinity. No. Divided by 0 makes no mathematical sense whatsoever. It's gibberish. It's like saying, bleh, means nothing. Right? Don't tell me that you divide by 0 and got an answer. There is some subtleties here. When we cover limits, it's going to be apparently like you're dividing by 0, but we'll talk about that more. But like divide by 0, you can't do it. Right? Don't do it. Right? You will be in trouble. Using brackets appropriately. So. And by the way, there's reviews on all this. There's a pre-calc and algebra review on the math website for this class. So if you want to do something like x plus 1, and you want to multiply by x plus 2, right? And you write down x plus 1, x plus 2. Right? Do you use the brackets in the correct way? No, right? Because what does this say? You're multiplying the 1 by this, and the x is just added separately, right? If I want to multiply the entire expressions, I have to put brackets around both, right? Or whenever you're doing subtraction, that's a big one, right? So use 1 x plus 1 minus. Then you have the x plus 1, and you put a minus sign. After the minus sign, you make sure you open brackets, right? Because that negative sign has to distribute. If you don't put the brackets, it's mean you're just subtracting the x. Now, I've encountered students, some of them are sloppy. They'll be like, oh yeah, I know in my head that there should be brackets there, right? But it turns out that's not good enough. When you're on a test and you're working out this huge problem, and this is just a little piece of it, right? And you're down to step 5 and you're looking back up to like copy something down, the brackets are missing. In your haste, you're not going to remember, oh yeah, I knew a bracket should have been there, right? And you're like, oh yeah, I knew it, and then you still make the mistake because you're going to be multitasking, right? Algebra is not the main thing that we'll be doing here, but while you're doing what you're doing, the calculus, algebra is going to be there. So make sure you don't be sloppy. Write down your brackets if you're subtracting something with several terms. When you're multiplying things, put them in brackets just to be safe, right? Yeah, so don't make any of those mistakes. I take them very seriously. In fact, in bold, you'll see how seriously I take them. I will literally give you a 0 if you do anything like this sort, right? So if I'm grading your paper, and on problem 1 you do something like this, I just stop grading. I give you a 0 and I stop grading. I'm not going to read anything else you're saying because you're obviously trying to fool out. Okay, contact is the next thing. All right, so I expect everyone to email me today with certain information. Your name, the course you're in, and your section. Right, so you should email me today. You can just say your name. And say Math 201S. Right, because I'm doing several mailing lists, I'm teaching several classes, so I need to know where you're from. Right, so just say, hey, hi, my name is Ron Smith, I'm in your Math 201 class, section S. Right? And then I'll put you in the right mailing list, because I will be emailing you guys things from time to time. In like things like progress reports, I'll be sending you. So like every time you do a quiz or a test, I'll send you a report so you can see your current grade as the class is going on. Right? So, and any like emergency announcements or anything like that, I'll just shoot a quick email. So it's important that you email me so that I have your contact. Right? Feedback, I also encourage feedback. Right? So, believe it or not, I'm not just here for a paycheck. I actually want you guys to learn. I want you to be good students, and I want to be able to brag about you. Like, yeah, these students are the best. Right? So, we're all in this together. So let me know if something's not working. Right? So just so if you can email me if you have any suggestions or you think there's something you think would make you learn better while we're in class. If you don't want to identify yourself, there's also an anonymous feedback feature on my website that I gave you earlier. It should be there. Just be constructive with your feedback, okay? So don't just be like, your teaching sucks! You know, say, your teaching sucks because, you know, you do this, you do that, you do that. I think it's better if you did this, right? And then we can sort of discuss it and go on with that. Help. Right, especially if you're doing a lot of classes, sometimes you need help. We all need help sometimes. Don't be embarrassed. There's free tutoring available in the Tutoring Center, which is in the Science Building on the 4th floor, Marshak 418S. It begins on Tuesday, and the schedule is here. Right, so Monday through Thursdays, 12 to 5 p.m., Fridays, 12 to 4 p.m. I'll actually be there a lot of the time, so usually between like 12 and 4, I should be there all the time, like most of the time. There are online resources available, right? So things like, you know, YouTube, right? My lectures will be on YouTube, other lectures will be on YouTube, Patrick JMT, Khan Academy. You know, there are tons of resources online these days, like everything. I'm sure Calc 1 has been covered by the intern somewhere, right? There are also math help forums where you can talk to people about math that you're studying if you're stuck on a problem. A website that I like, Wolfram Alpha. Does anyone know about Wolfram Alpha? Yeah, it's a really cool site, right? You can literally like type in math questions and it'll answer you, you know. So you can, Wolfram Alpha, it's in here. So you can I do recommend that you reread the syllabus carefully because I'm really just skimming it. So yeah, so if you're not sure how this works, you can literally go to Wolfram Alpha and say, how do I expand x plus 2 all squared? By the way, what's the answer for that? Okay, good. Right, and Wolfram Alpha will tell you that. It'll draw a graph for you. It'll say, oh, if you set it to 0, this would have been the answer. It'll give you tons of information. Right, it's a really great site. You literally type this. Well, you put a character, you put a square, and it will tell you, oh, this is that. It's a really great site. Powered by the people who made Mathematica, I think. But yeah, a lot of resources. Your classmates are resources. I highly recommend also that you get contact information of someone else. In case you're missing, you need to get notes or something like that. Or you need a study partner. Some people work well in study groups. And of course, I'm a resource. You can always ask me questions. Hopefully I haven't scared you into that activity. Don't eat in class, it's too distracting, just in class rules. Drink if you want. If you're a person who needs your 5 o'clock coffee, I don't do it. Just remove your garbage. And that's just a note on academic integrity. Don't cheat. If I catch you, you're in big trouble. And here is the fall academic calendar. Right, so there are a couple of important dates here, especially for some of you if you have incompletes or things like that, or you need to change your classes. These are the dates you need to do that. Although, I think the dates here are not messed up because of the QE first and they're pushing everything later. Like, so the last date to register is like tomorrow. They might push back some of this stuff. But in general, when QE first gets under control, this will be how we're following things. So be aware of that. And again, here's a list of all the homework problems. If you want to go ahead and do them ahead of class, that's fine. One thing here is at the time I wrote this, I didn't know this was a day class. In the past, day classes were before 4 p.m., but this semester is before 6. So I thought I was going to set my own final, but I'm actually not. We are taking the group final, and for that we actually know the date, so you can write it in. Your final is on Monday, December 22nd, from 1 p.m. to 3:15 p.m. So you can scratch out the date to be announced and write that in. All right, so Monday, December 22nd. So it's a 2 hours and 15 minutes exam. Well, the location I don't know yet, so that's to be announced, but we do know when judgment day is. So no one go off and say, oh, I made travel plans. No, you know, 4 months in advance what it is. Yes?
Oh, I just have a general question. Is it normal to have a final on the day that you don't have with other classes? Will that happen as well?
I wouldn't say it's normal, but it's not strange.
Like it happens?
It happens. But you do have some rights as far as finals are going. So if you have like 3 finals on a day, you can actually have one moved. Right? Like your instructors, one of your instructors has to move its policy. So I don't know if you can try to talk to the math department. More than likely, if you can't take it on that day, they'll force you to take a makeup final, which would be in January, like towards the end of January. So if Mondays are a problem for you, that's part of what it's going to happen. Right, so that's when the final is. This is the list of homework. On the reverse sheet of the homework is the instructions for Webassign. So like I said, we'll be using Webassign. There's an online component to this class. This tells you how to log in, create your account, and start using the information there. Homework is actually posted there already, believe it or not. So the homework that's due on Tuesday and Thursday is already posted. So if you can get to that as soon as possible. And another correction here, the class key code. It's CCNY 0224 254. So ignore what's written here, just scratch it out and write that. There was a problem with this one and they recreated the whole course under my name, so it's in the you guys read that? So CCNY 0224. There's a space here, I'm not sure if that matters, but 254. Okay, so that's the instructions on how to get going with Webassign. So you have assignments there. Course learning outcomes is what we expect you to be able to do by the end of this course, since we're accredited and required by law to give this to you on the first day of class. See what the information. Oh, it's on the front. It's Stewart's Essential Calculus, 2nd edition. On the first page. Make sure you have it. Yes.
How do we find the related squaring assignments on this page?
Oh, as for the written ones, like these assignments, they're due after I complete them in class.
Oh.
Right, so if I complete section 1.1 in class, that's automatically due the next day.
Okay.
Right? But the Webassign ones, the due date will be listed there. Behind that, there's a questionnaire I'd like you to fill out. So you can just fill that out and attach it. And give it to me. Are there any questions, by the way, concerns? Yes.
Is your homework dependent on moment? Please. Is your quiz dependent on moment?
Yes.
So if you do the homework, it will be similar to the quiz?
Yeah, it was similar to most of the homework problems. Yeah. So there are some homework problems that are designed to sort of give you a broader view. Like they'll ask you to do things that I won't ask, but what I do ask should be in the homework zone. And if you'd like to have an idea of some of the things I would ask, you can also check the past finals. I also usually take the opportunity on quizzes to ask you about definitions. Usually on a quiz or a test, on a test you won't ask you what a definition is. But like on a quiz, I'll ask you, what is a definition, right? What is the formula for a derivative? I'll ask you that on a quiz. Where on a test, you won't see that. Someone will just say, find the derivative. You're supposed to know the formula. But on a quiz, I'll take that opportunity to ask you about what are some general formulas, what are definitions you should know, written or formula-wise, and other than that, we'll do some problems.
Oh, next to the homeworks, it says assignment and then there's a number, it gives about, or
Which one?
next to the homework.
Yeah?
All of them. What are the numbers?
Oh, these numbers here on the far left?
No.
Oh, those are the numbers in the textbook that I want you to do. So you go to the chapter 1.1 and you do all those problems. Yes.
Just to clarify, this is the written homework.
Written
Webassign is on the website.
Webassign is online, yes.
All right.
Which you access by following these instructions.
For the web assignment, do you need the book for the web?
No?
You know the code, and I think it's
Come again? I mean, you'll get the code. It'll tell you. This tells you how to sign up. It shouldn't be a problem. Like I think whether or not you bought the book, you should be able to do this. Is my understanding.
Does it say which book in the
Yes, on the very first page at the top. So we're using Stewart's Essential Calculus, 2nd edition. Huh? No. You don't need to bring the text with the class. Yes. This is the attendance sheet. Make sure you sign it. I'll get a proper roster later when the system's back up. Yeah.
So we do homework from the syllabus and from the
Yes,
website and
both written and electronic. There are 2 sets of homework.
Professor, here it says if you have purchased a required textbook,
It's on the very first page. There is it. Right here. Yeah, so Stewart's Essential Calculus, the 2nd edition, that's what we're using. Other questions? Yes?
When's that first quiz?
Let's see. I don't know, soon, maybe tomorrow. I think I'm joking. Maybe tomorrow, could be sooner. Could be...
Sooner today?
Yeah?
Wait, you go home today? First one, when you teach the lesson?
Well, yeah, it's after I teach the lesson. As far as the written is concerned, after I complete the lesson, then you do the homework and you bring it in the next class. Right. And the deadlines for Webassign homeworks are online. You'll see the deadline. It's usually like an hour before class begins. Other questions? Yes?
I don't mean to be rude. Can you make a joke? Just like, you know, because I'm kind of scared now.
Or are you scared? Well, you should. I want you to be scared, though. I want you to be scared. This is going to be hard, the hardest thing you've ever done in your life, up to this point, until you get Calc 2. Depending on who you have it with, that will be the hardest thing in your life. And then Calc 3. Well, some people think Calc 3 is easier. I don't know. Depends on who you are. Depends on your personality type, I think. If you're the type who likes formulas and like memorizing stuff and doing a lot of problems, rote memory and all that stuff, Calc 2 is easier. If you're more artsy, you like visualizing things, you like, you know, admire the beauty of math, you like Calc 3 more. Yeah. So Calc 2 is like a lot of techniques. They just teach you a lot of ways to solve problems. You learn a lot of techniques in that class. Other questions? So you want a joke?
Yes.
You know what a four-sided polygon is called? No. Rectangle, right. You know what a three-sided polygon is called? You know what a five-sided polygon is called? You know what a two-sided polygon is called? A two-sided polygon? Two parallel lines form a polygon? Jeez. Maybe we do need to go over like algebra and geometry for a while. There is no name for a two-sided polygon. You know why? Because mathematicians won't let bygones be bygones. Okay, that's the best. It's all downhill from here. I mean, okay, whatever. Okay, so, any other questions? I'm gonna have to like look up math jokes now. I'm feeling so under pressure. You guys are the ones that are supposed to feel under pressure.
Professor,
Yes.
let's say we do homework before it's due, right? And can we just end the homework and you can just give it us back by correcting it, or we can like, you know,
If you want to do homework ahead of time, I won't stop you, sure.
No, can you like check and do? Alright.
Wait, what?
He asked about giving you homework ahead of time.
But then you check it and give it in and get like the better grade.
And really
Well, I don't think you'll get a better grade. You'll get whatever grade you're supposed to get. Within all time.
He's asking if he could like.
You can give it in again.
Yeah, if you give it, yeah, I mean, I don't like walking around with homework.
No, what I was saying was like do it ahead and like you give it back and we make a correction and give it again.
Oh, no, I don't, I'm not going to take it twice. Don't worry, I don't grade homework that intensely. I mean, if you make a fair attempt on stuff, I'll give you something. It's not that crazy. Huh? The Webassign, do it as soon as possible. Yes, because assignments are already posted. There's already homeworks there that you can get started on. Other questions? I'll email you that. That's which is why it's important that you email me, because I haven't created the playlist yet. Other questions?
We do it today, so like, we still got like 30 minutes. Thanks.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna do something. It's gonna be fun. You'll like it. Other questions? Okay, I think we're cool. Yes.
Like let's say the class starts at 5 and after how many minutes do you consider late?
Like after your name is called, which is pretty much almost immediately. It's like calling the roll is pretty much the first thing you do. Just guess I can re-answer your question. We have a quiz today. Woo! First quiz of the
We have
semester.
another question. Does it count?
Nope, no more questions. Space out. Quiz.
This one count? For real?
It's algebra and pre-calc. Of course it counts.